Everyone, and welcome to a beautiful summer evening in Hanover Park. I hope you've all survived the flying trees and branches, and oh my goodness. I will say real quick before I start that those trampolines, we had a lot of trampolines take flight, and one totally got bound up in the Commonwealth Edison lines and knocked out 100 homes. So I think we're going to have to, if you have a trampoline, maybe wire it down to the ground or something, staple it in. So with that, I'd like to welcome you all to this beautiful evening and of Thursday, July 18th, 2024. Like Madam Clerk, call the meeting to order, if you would, please.
The time is now 7:09.
Wait a minute, my hearing aids broke today. Train wreck. Madam Clerk, please.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Here.
Trustee Porter?
Here.
Trustee Kunkel?
Here.
Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Husani?
Here.
You have a quorum?
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I will be removing 7A4 from consent. A motion to pass an ordinance amending section 62-10-101 of chapter 62 of the Municipal Code of Hanover Park by adding stop sign intersection at various locations. I see smiles out there. Oh my goodness. Oh, nice. Anyone else have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I have a presentation tonight, this ought to be a riot. A proclamation.
It's already up there.
Oh. Dave and Michelle, maybe you want to come up? Who's going to take the photo? Oh, okay, we got the photo. Okay. Can you hear me all right? Very good. This is quite an honor for me this evening. I'm going to read the proclamation, but the honor is knowing Dave and Michelle for a number of years. And when I say a number of years, it's probably, I might have been hanging around when you were hired. My wife preceded me for 24 years. But this is an honor, knowing that Dave not only has served us in the police department, but he has served us as, as chief, but then has come across and been the deputy manager, and has kept me out of trouble for how many years now? as a deputy manager. But Dave is an exceptional support process for the mayor, exceptional support to the manager, and I know we're going to miss him. And I think you're heading to Florida. Is that true?
Eventually, yes, in a few months.
Well, I hope the taxes are lower there. Yeah,
I think they are.
the state's driving us out of the business here. So whereas Dave Webb is retiring from the Village of Hanover Park on August 1st, 2024, after having served 8 years as the village's first deputy village manager, and whereas Dave Webb is known as a kind and fair leader among his peers, and is a gracious, forthright, hardworking person who models the right stuff for his subordinates, peers, elected officials, and the community at large. Whereas Dave Webb has made a positive impact in many areas in his role of Deputy Village Manager, including serving as the Public Information Officer, development of the communication plan, coordination of community outreach, including social media and special events. Member of the budget team, project manager for a variety of special projects. I'm a special project, you know, you fit me in under there. And oversight of the human resources and information technology departments. Whereas Dave Webb retired as police chief from the Hanover Park Police Department on July 20th, 2016, and whereas in his role as police chief, David Webb served dutifully and with distinction with the police department for 26 years and 3 months, having been appointed as a sworn officer to the department on April 23rd, 1990. My wife showed up in '85, so I guess I was hanging around. Let's see. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Village President of Village of Hanover Park, do hereby join elected officials and the people of the Village of Hanover Park in expressing our deepest appreciation to David Webb for his loyal and dedicated service. I extend my personal best wishes upon his retirement and for his continued success in the pursuit of health, happiness, in whatever he chooses to do. Isn't that an honor for someone retiring, having served our community for so many years? David, thank you so much. Here you go. Would the board like to join me in the photo? Join me in the photo. Get the whole board behind me. Juliana, would you like to join us? Come on, come on. No is not in the equation. All right. Okie doke. We're all in our faces, places with sunshiny faces. And Dave, I wish you the very best. And please,
I can get them while they're out.
get them while they're down here. We've been blessed. All righty. I'll be down there again when we get to the ordinance. So next, I just did that. Town hall session. Anyone signed up for town hall?
There are a couple people here.
No one signed up?
Yes, they did.
Oh, there he is in the back. Oh, yeah, I got it. Deaf in one ear, I can't hear out of the other. One person, two people?
We have, is it a family? I'm not sure. Michelle, Mallory, Cheryl, and Terry? And Cheryl, okay. Okay.
They are,
Would you like to step up and speak?
are they, what is their issue?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay, great. All right, so we came here because we've been talking, she lives maybe about half a block down from me.
Could you state your name again?
Oh, Michelle Mahoney, and this is Cheryl Terry.
Thank you.
We both live on Arlington Drive West, right across the street from Heritage Park. And we've had some concerns about Heritage Park lately, some safety concerns, some, of the children harassing concerns. And we're trying to find some answers to some of these problems. And sometimes we'll call the police, sometimes we'll call the village, and everyone's saying it's someone else's responsibility, or even the school, Greenbrook School back there. She had her house like the other night, what was it, like a week ago?
It
Some
was the
people.
4th of July weekend.
Yeah, kids ding-dong ditching her at midnight, coming back, doing it again. We have electric bikes in our area, and I know there was an incident a couple weeks ago with a child. They're just pulling out in front of cars. They're riding through the park. They're there after dusk. We've had a lot of people wandering in the park after dusk. So we were looking for some answers like I know we used to have a patrol guy because we would see them in a pickup truck and we would see them drive through the park and kind of like make people go back to their houses or wherever. And we don't see that anymore. So we're looking for some answers that we've had some problems, some near misses that she's seen around the corner right where the children cross. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area, but it's literally from Tanglewood going into the park. Some of the people, they put the speed monitors up, but some of the people still speed up and
There's a
like,
bike path that goes through.
yeah, it's a walk path for the
Yeah.
kids to get to the park, and
Sure.
a lot of the kids are unsupervised, and it's just very dangerous. The whole curb is very dangerous. I call the police, you know, because I used to be on the, what is it?
PTO?
Not PTO, but the watch area, the area. I
area
used to
watch.
I used to be very actively involved, and I used to go to the meetings and stuff, and I haven't in a while. But we seem to notice a lot more activity after dusk. So we're concerned because there's a lot of people who, I don't think they're doing anything of value in the park at 10, 11, 12. So that was one of the concerns. Another of my personal concerns was someone was parking and I was calling the parking code, and the police did a nice job last night moving the car that was sporadically parking them in Bloomingdale Towing about 3:30 in the morning. We're taking the car and hopefully the person understands what they need to do. But are there any other concerns that you wanted? I only
No, I know
get
you
5
and
minutes.
another neighbor did have that, and then, basically, you know, if there's not gonna be a crossing guard, because we talked to the school says it's the police that provide the crossing guard for the Heritage, where it's like, it's kind of dangerous because it's a curve, you know, so these kids that cross the street, they can't see around the curve. People are always speeding. My office faces that way, so I could literally see, like, when the kids are getting off school, car stops, the kids are getting ready to cross, another car doesn't want to wait for the kids and just zooms. So if people can volunteer to be a crosswalk there, or we can actually get like a flashing, better signage, like a flashing signage, and the paint on the walkway to be a little, it's very faded.
Well, I think we hear your message, okay? Do we care about our kiddos? You look behind you, we care about their kiddos. But I would suggest that the police chief is here, and I would, take a moment and meet with the police chief, set up some kind of conference with the appropriate people, and he can get you in the right direction for that, okay?
Okay,
So thank you for coming tonight.
thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor,
Okay.
if I may.
That's really out of order, but it's, go ahead. It's town hall, people come and they speak. It's not for time for debate. Are you looking for clarity on something?
So I just had an additional question. So you proposed a couple different solutions, like flashing signage and a crossing guard. Were there any other things that you believe would, or any other ideas that you would believe that would help address this issue? I'm curious just to know.
Well, I can tell you, Springwood, the middle school, who's in the same subdivision, they have a teacher, Mr. Cardner, come out, and for that 15, 20 minutes to get the buses out and the kids across to Tanglewood, he's out at the corner. Now, can we get that for the Greenbrook kids? I don't know. I mean, our kids are growing and out of school, they're in college, so it's not our kids we're worried about, it's other children, and that's
I
our
feel like
concern.
the little kids need more supervision that are walking. There's a pond there. Literally, over the winter, there was a little girl that I saw, because my window faces, she's on crutches walking on the ice, and I'm like calling the school like, you know, I don't want to approach these kids, or I see a kid get stuck in the snow, I'll be like, hey, there's a little girl in a red coat, she's trying to get to school, the bell already rang, I don't want to scare her, but I'll call the school. Well, like, there needs to be some supervision in the park, I think,
Yeah,
when the kids are going.
Let's start with the police chief.
Okay.
John Gustafson is the principal at
Yep.
Greenbrook. I know him very well also.
Yep.
So we can take that dialogue and have some process to try to resolve those issues, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
All right, next. We have another person? Huh? Hank? Is Hank on? Hank, you signed in?
Thank you for letting me speak. It's an honor to speak. Brought up two things on the schedule, on the piece of paper. Police department has union. If I come up with a better idea, I bring it back next time, or whenever I come up with another better idea. The clerks, they have their own union person in the building. I was thinking maybe the clerks in the village, they can have one person to be their be their union person. And by that is, you know, if one of the secretaries wants to say, hey, I want to take a 10-year vacation, can I still come back? The union leader would find the answer for that person. Of course, nobody can do that, but if somebody gets sick, maybe 10 years later, this one, they'll come back. Two things. A person gets sick or hurt, they can't work, they live in the middle of the street. It's not easy, but anyway. The second thing is, the police department. You know, a police officer doing his job, you know, if he keeps his head down, you know, and one guy asked him, how do you survive? And he says, you keep your head down, you're probably going to survive. If you don't keep your head down, you're not going to survive. And the guy you think is going to survive doesn't survive because he fights and gets his head up. The guy you think is not going to keep his head down, he survives. What
Okay.
else? What else?
I think we got it, Hank.
Yeah, my other thing is, no, I'll keep working on it. I'll get around to it eventually. You know, most people don't know this, but 5,300 people in the post office get bitten by dogs. They have to have the spray, not for dogs, maybe for bears. So the other thing is, I think that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Hank.
You have a good day, sir.
Yes, sir.
And sorry for, you know, when somebody suggests something to you, they're not suggesting, they come in a nice way and they suggest something to you. In a nice way, you follow orders because you're respecting their wishes.
Thank you. Thank you, Hank. Very good. Moving on, village president's report, and I got to share with you, I've been pretty busy the last few days, especially when the storms hit. That was, had a power outage, mostly in the north side of town. I rode around and helped assist ComEd find some priorities. We had as I mentioned earlier, a trampoline twisted up in the wires. So help them understand that was a priority, that got over 100 families back online with their power. There was a tree in a couple homes where the tree went through the roof, through the family room, and into the basement. It's quite amazing how a tree can jam into a house like that. I was surprised when I saw that photo. So with that, we're moving on There's, like to move by omnibus vote, items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay,
So those would be items 7A1 through 7A3 and 7A5 through 7A9.
thank you. Alrighty. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole,
Yes.
trustee Husani. Yes. Trustee Gutierrez. Yes. Trustee Porter.
Yes.
And trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A4, motion to pass an ordinance amending section 6210-101 of chapter 62 of the municipal code of Hanover Park by adding stop intersections at various locations. Do we have a motion?
Second.
And we have a second. And a little backstory. The moms and dads and the principal and the youth before us this evening provided letters to the mayor. And I shared those with the police chief, who is not in the room at the moment. But it was for some safety items to install a stop sign at Center and I think, is that Laurel there? Is that Laurel Avenue? So, and, you know, I kind of agreed with him and he invited me to the school and the youth all made a nice presentation and it was pretty exciting to see that our young people are looking at their community and try to improve their community. So I want to thank you all. I believe any board members have a comment? Any comment? Yeah, go ahead. Want to speak to the ordinance? No? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So thank you so much for coming in tonight. I think that it's really cool that so many students took the time to write to the village and explain what the issue was and did such a great job with it. And the fact that your actions at the ages of 10, 8, 9, you're quite literally making change in your community, and it's so wonderful to see. So thank you so much for being courageous and writing to us and letting us know about an issue, because you did that, you've now been a part of the solution. We're so grateful for your efforts, and thank you for keeping our village, increasing safety in our village.
Any other comments, board members?
I would definitely talk to my kids about what happened today and what a difference you have made in the community. I'm sure they're going to be so jealous. They're 20 and 18 right now and stuff like that. They can't go back and correct it. But hopefully they'll make big changes like you have done in the future.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just,
Herb?
So just, when I first read this, I was pleasantly surprised, and I thought, well, what the adults didn't think about this, the kids had to think about it. But you know what that means? That means that you are a lot smarter than we were in that area, for reals. And so when you grow up, if you ever need to get a job, Hanover Park is always hiring good people, city planners, and I'm sure the village manager will talk to you about it. So kudos to you. You should be really, really proud, really proud.
Herb?
I just want to say you guys are amazing and it's outstanding, and the future of our village is in good hands when we have young people like you that have the foresight to see a problem, to study it, analyze it, and then come up with a solution. I salute you. Thank you very much. You brightened our day, so thank you.
Very good. John?
Yeah, you guys are going to be our future leaders. When we get old and I grow gray hair like this, you know, you're going to be our future leaders. I mean, I can't say about my kid. She's 41, 42, so I can't say anything about her. But I wish she was like you when she was young. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez,
Absolutely, yes.
trustee Porter,
100% yes.
trustee Kunkel,
Trustee Kunkel?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
and trustee Husani.
Yes, yes, yes.
Motion passes.
Trustee Bancole?
Oh, and trustee Bancole.
1000% yes.
Thank you all. Let's all come up here and take a photo together. And if you don't mind, come on up, all of you. I'd like to say that we have a principle that sets an environment where the kids are comfortable to take this type of thing on. And so, well done to the principal, well done to the teacher. I like to be on the side. All right, very good. Nice.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Got a couple more cameras.
Dave, you gonna get one? All right. Very good. Now I will ask you all.
One more.
Oh, one more. Okay. We'll do this till we get it right.
Then they can compare later to make sure which one has the best
Nice.
smiley.
Very nice.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would ask you all to, we call it walk the gauntlet. So each trustee, take hands with each trustee, if you would. Well done.
Hey, guys, how we doing? Congratulations. Thanks, Tom, thanks, Beth. Thank you.
You must be so proud. Yeah. Thank you. Great job, guys. Thank you. Great job, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Well done, so much. Yes.
So proud.
All right. You don't need all stay for the rest of the boring meetings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay. All right. 7, 8, 10. I want to thank the board's indulgence as I kind of went over the board there with that. Congratulating all the kiddos and their good
Yeah.
work.
We need more moments like that.
Yes, I agree. We're getting there. Very good. 7-8-10, motion to pass an ordinance authorizing the Sixth Amendment to the FY 2024 budget on the Village of Hanover Park. 2/3 vote of the corporate authorities is needed. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Vote. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Trustee Porter,
Yes.
trustee Kunkel,
Yes.
trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Husani,
Yes.
President Craig,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did I read? Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
7-11, move to approve warrant 7/18/2024 in the amount of $1,876,625.71.
So move.
We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Husani,
Yes.
trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter,
Yes.
trustee Kunkel,
Yes.
trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7-8-12, move to approve warrant paid in advance, 6/15/2024 through 7/12/2024 in the amount of $1,751,762.22.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. 7813, move to approve May 2024 P cards in the amount of $32,303.84.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Porter.
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel.
Yes.
Trustee Bancole.
Yes.
Trustee Husani.
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Village Manager's Report. Juliana, Strategic Plan, Monthly Treasurer's Report, et cetera, et cetera.
So this evening is our update to all of you on the strategic plan. This is in your packets. Page here. So if you go to your packet on page 180, we will, we're currently in the three-year strategic plan process that was approved by the village board in 2022. And we have been bringing you updates on how we've been making progress on 5 goals: financial health, fiscal economic development, and redevelopment-focused economic development. Maintain and enhance infrastructure, community image and identity, and effective governance. 2 things this evening. One, we have some highlights of things. The last column in each section is the updates since we last updated you in 2023. And we'll give you some of those highlights. And then in addition, even though this has been a 3-year strategic plan, we are extending it 1 more year. So we won't be doing the strategic planning process this fall. We'll be doing it next fall instead. Given the election and the seating of the board, we felt that the alignment would be better with, for the next round of strategic plan, have the board that will be here participating in that process. So, Dave, do you want to walk through some of the highlights and then answer any questions that you may have as we go section by section?
Sure. Yeah, so I just went through, I'm not sure what the board might be interested in, so I just cherry-picked a few of the points that I thought might be of interest, but as Juliana said, you can fire away at any time of anything that you might like to hear. Starting out at the first goal, which is financial health, we have fund the actuarial report, suggested level each year, fully fund for pensions through 2023. So you can see on your document, it goes through these. Our update for now is, it's the very first one. It's the pensions are funded by actuarial valuation recommendations. Various sources of unfunded liability payoff range from 10 to 15 years. And that's the 2033 through 2038. If you go to the next goal, which is focused economic development and redevelopment, it's green if your copy is in color. I'll give you a chance to flip over to it. It's the green color.
So
It's
sorry, could we go back to page 181?
Sure.
What is the proposal to increase HRST by 0.2? Sorry, page 181, last column, under objective, develop a plan regarding potential loss of state funding. Ongoing, that acronym, HRST. Do you see what I'm saying in that last column?
I do. Are you talking about the very last one in the blue, in the,
On page 181,
Yeah, so
under
the,
financial health.
So the goal was to review revenue sources of neighboring communities to see if
Can
they
you
have
do
identified.
your mic?
new-
Your mic.
Move it a little
The
closer.
goal is review revenue
Good.
sources of neighborhood communities to see if they have identified new ways of generating revenues. So this is an ongoing goal. This year, we, given the actions regarding the grocery tax, we are looking, and while this doesn't go into effect, the change until 2026, we're beginning to evaluate how, if there is a loss of the grocery tax, how we would offset that revenue. And one of the areas could be a possible increase to the home rule sales tax. Pardon me?
No, I was just trying to figure out what that acronym was.
Home rule sales
Okay,
tax.
okay, thank you.
But we do not have a recommendation for you. At this point, we will be reviewing that as part of the budget process and monitoring what legislation the amount that will need to be offset.
Thank you.
Any
does-
other questions in financial health? That's the blue section.
Okay,
Okay.
moving on.
So moving to the next goal, which is the green section, which is the focused economic development and redevelopment. I highlighted a track development to increase EAV. That was the action that we needed to take. Our status update for this meeting is it's ongoing again, and it's attended the ICSC Vegas and Chicago trips in 2023. Direct outreach to the business and developers continues. The overall vacancy rate as of May 2024 is 1.2% for industrial, 2.3% for retail, and 5.2% for office, which is a very low percentages for each of those. Our EAV has been increasing from $713 million in 2019 to $818 million in 2022. 2023 information is not yet available. Any questions on?
I have a question. Under veranda, 3-bedroom units, it's ongoing to move them into, move them from 3 to 2?
I can read, would you like me to read it?
Yeah, ongoing.
So she's talking about the veranda, which is the facilitate and support private sector large developments. The action is to deal with veranda, and it's ongoing. And part of this update is from the fire department, which is all built units have full occupancy in units 1, 9, and 10. The commercial buildings are not yet started, and no submittal has been received yet. So the second part of it is the developer has not submitted plans for any new buildings to be constructed at this time.
So that area is for sale, right?
Yes, so the village attorney and I had the conversation, as well as we've had some conversation amongst staff. We think that it's a good time to meet with the developer and just do an overall, get an overall update on, as we know, there are parcels for sale that were part of that redevelopment agreement for commercial, and just get a sense of how we're moving forward and where that redevelopment agreement stands. I think if we're going to move in another direction, if she's not going to finish the project, then we may want to talk about how we close out that redevelopment agreement. But we have not had that meeting yet, so I would say that was the next step, is to have a conversation with her.
Okay, thank you.
If you flip the page, I think we're on page 184. Does anyone have any questions on there that they would like to? I just selected expand business. The goal or the objective was identify and implement business recruitment strategies, and that was expand business attraction portions of the website. And that status is ongoing, as it would be. And Community Development created a new How to Start and Grow Your Own Business Guide, and that's now live and online on the website. Moving along to page 185. still in the green section. The objective is identify and implement small business education and retention strategies, including helping small businesses work with municipalities, connecting small businesses with regional incubators, and working more closely with the chamber. Just highlighting, conduct business retention surveys and visits. The status of that is Community Development has received and analyzed results from the 2024 Business Retention Survey, and they will be scheduling visits, prioritizing businesses that indicated issues or are large revenue generators as well. Moving on. I'm on, I believe, page 186. We're still in the green. The objective is grow downtown into a destination to attract visitors and potential residents and businesses. I selected host networking events in the Village Plaza and then program village events in the Village Center, kind of the same thing. Both of these are ongoing as well as complete in some sense. We've held the business after hours event there annually, as well as we're holding the new programming is that we're holding the summer soiree with a 90s vibe, which is August 17th in 2024. Jumping over to page 187, which is the orange section we're now into.
187 still.
180, okay. I think my copy's a little, okay. Page 188, sorry.
Before you move on, in 187, just to highlight, one of the objective was to update the comprehensive plan. That is a big project. It's in the budget. It's budgeted this year. It's going to cross over this year into next year. We have completed and sent out the RFP to do a complete update of the comprehensive plan. And when are those due back? August 2nd. August 2nd, we should be receiving those RFPs back for that process. I think just for you, the comprehensive plan allows us to gather a lot of information from the community, and so that timing-wise, that's another reason why the strategic plan from a timing perspective would be good to do next year instead of this year, is that we will then have that information from the comprehensive plan as well as we're budgeting for another citizen survey. So you'll have all of that information to use as data as you make your decisions in the strategic plan.
Great. We're in the orange section, as I said, maintain and enhance.
If I may, before we move on from economic development, we have a new employee. She's here tonight. Maybe you'd like to introduce her.
I was going to do that later, but yes, I'd be happy to. Adela, where is she? Oh, yes. Adela is our new economic development coordinator. She started on Monday. And so she's sitting through our board meeting to get a feel and meet all of you and then feel for what's going on. And then we have a couple items in closed session. She'll be sitting in on those as well. But we've brought her into a lot of things already in the last few days. So we're very excited to have you here.
It's an honor to serve Hanover Park. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, moving on.
As I said, in the orange section, maintain and enhance infrastructure. The objective I'm highlighting is undertake a village-wide facilities needs assessment study to review municipal campus space needs and layout. The action that we were taking a look at was evaluate facilities, space, and function, which is the Public Works and the Village Hall. Our status for this update is we applied for the congressionally directed spending to fund the municipal complex master plan, which we were informed we didn't get, but we did try that route. We've already done a basic space needs analysis, which was completed in 2023, and master planning is expected to be budgeted for in the upcoming 2025 budget process. Turning the page, the next one would be begin and continue long-term water main replacement program in Public Works. The first phase of a 5-year IEPA project plan will be under construction this summer in 2025 and is underway
For design, yeah.
for design. Any further questions on any in here?
Yes, please. The next one right after that, to evaluate implementation of charging stations. So that's for EV vehicles, right?
Correct.
Okay. And we applied for funding for that. Was that state funding, federal funding, local?
We applied as a multiple municipal ask with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, with the EV group that we were part of, and we did not get selected.
Okay.
The entire group
So
didn't
it's
get
like a
selected.
group effort. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
But, so that's the only grant that we've applied for to install EV chargers?
No, we have applied for others and so far haven't been successful. Although I'm actually thinking the tide may be turning a little bit. Our challenge isn't so much getting the charging stations. Our challenge is that the electrical facilities in, say, this building, for example, will not support the charging stations. So if we were able to get charging stations, it would be 3 or 4 times the cost of the charging station to upgrade the electric in this facility to be able to withstand those amps on a regular basis.
Okay,
And same with Metra.
okay. So right now, we're, in terms of public locations, it would be Village Hall or Metra. That's what we're kind of thinking when we apply for these grants.
Those have been identified so far as the, what I'll call the lowest hanging fruit.
Okay,
Good
okay.
places to put them.
Thank you.
I have a question. I know that part of the plan is to construct sidewalks on Center Avenue, and I know that that has started. But will public hearings be required as part of that process, or we can move forward just with the planning that's being done? So that
Correct.
there's no
Yeah.
need
That is
for,
correct.
Yeah, we can just install a sidewalk.
we can just install the
Yeah.
sidewalk, and that's going to go from Maple down to
Laurel.
yeah, Laurel. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And,
They must be not behind us.
Yes.
okay. And is there a completion date, a projected completion date for that?
We have applied for grant funding that we got denied for. However, I suspect that it will either be in 25 or 26 when. It's 26. All right.
26?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If no one has any questions on page 191 or 192, I'll jump to page 193, which is continue to facilitate the I-390 expansion project. As you may remember, that's to receive Phase 1 study from the consultant was the action taken. Our status is the Phase 1 documents have been resubmitted to IDOT based on their comments, and the consultant is waiting on approval. As well, we did, once again, apply for congressionally directed funding for the Phase 2 engineering, and unfortunately, we didn't get it. We have set up meetings with the Tollway, DuPage Department of Transportation, and the DuPage Marriage Managers Council.
And what is the completion of the I-390 project? What is the end point for that now? Where would the termination be?
Currently, it's from where I-390 ends right now at Lake Street, and it would continue to County Farm Road.
Continue
To County Farm Road,
to County Farm Road.
correct.
And so the access then will be into County Farm Road, and will it include then some type of arterial access that goes back to Lake Street, or will it just terminate at County Farm Road on the north and south lanes there?
You want to explain, John, or Dave?
The project as it exists right now is one, I'll call it one component of a multi-phased project. The project as it is conceived currently will be essentially a ramp extension of I-390 from Lake Street, where it terminates right now, to County Farm Road. Once that is concluded, the intent is that there will be future phases that will eventually bring I-390 back around to Lake Street at approximately where North Avenue meets Lake Street in Bartlett. But that's many phases and many levels of funding down the road. We're taking bites that we can be successful with as we move the project forward.
And that future extension, will that include relocation of businesses and homeowners to get from that point to Bartlett?
Broadly speaking, no. All of the right-of-way existed since the original project was contemplated.
Okay.
Moving on, bike path construction and reconstruction. There were two ones I'd like to highlight in there. Is to begin the bike path reconstruction program. Our status on that is the annual budget includes funds for the bike path repairs, as well as the construct the county farm multi-use path. And the path is under design with construction anticipated in 2025. Moving on to community image and identity, which is the red section. I highlighted host a Citizens Police Academy because that's new with the police department. And the curriculum is being developed. The first class date will be in September of this year, September 12th, 2024. Any other questions on the red section?
No, happy to see that come to fruition.
Moving on to the, I guess it would be aqua green or light blue or section is effective governance, succession planning as it relates to positions eligible for retirement. Where we're at on our update is the Human Resources Department partnered with the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service to create 6-session leadership series. We've held 2 so far in November and April, and have more planned coming up in the future. Currently, we are conducting fire lieutenant promotional testing, and the process started in March, and we'll be completing that. Is it completed? It's just completing it now in 2024. Next one is collaborate with Park District to hold village events. We have, that's completed to date. We've held the Doggy Extravaganza, Move with the Mayor. They were nice enough to help us host a Move with the Mayor mental health pop-up on their property, which was a big help for us. The Cops Day picnic and all the movie in the park events are held on Park District property.
Dave, so while we're talking about the Park District, so I know that they regularly meet, it states here that they regularly meet with the Special Events Committee for events. Where would it be appropriate for us to state, if there's a desire, for the board to regularly meet with them on a maybe annual basis or every 6 months or something of that nature?
To meet with the Park District?
Yes.
Have a joint meeting? You're asking for a joint meeting?
Yes.
Oh,
Just where would it be appropriate, like in this chart?
Well, so the goals are set. Where we're at right now, and it might be, there might be an intergovernmental goal. I would say that would kind of encapsulate that. We have tried to have both boards meet. We've had meetings scheduled and then they've been canceled, and so we can keep trying to have a regular meeting with both groups. What the intent was, I believe, at least, or to have it twice a year, and I don't know, it's been at least a year since we've had the last meeting.
That'd be great.
We'll continue to try to do that.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, you can flip to page 198 in the light blue section still, which is develop a disaster recovery plan. Our status on that is the entire emergency operations plan was rewritten and approved this year, which was great. The disaster recovery plan will now become an annex to our emergency operations plan and will be completed at the end of this year in the fourth quarter, so near the end of this year. Turn to page 199. Evaluate and modify recruitment activities to increase the diversity of applicants and new hires, including veterans. Ongoing is we have developed a 2024 diversity improvement plan. We have created Adopt a School program, which we chose, or the HR department chose Proviso West High School, and conducted resume writing and interviewing skills workshop in February of this year. We chose Chicago State University as one of our host universities and attended their job fair on March 19th of this year. And the Community and Economic Development Department, veteran businesses were identified via the Business Retention Survey, and they were contacted directly for pertinent events and grants. And if there are no other questions, that's all I have highlighted. And as always, if there's any questions after the meeting, you can give me or the noted department a call, and we can answer your questions as needed.
Quickly.
Quickly, at least for me.
Thank you.
As Dave departs the scene. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Monthly treasurer's report?
So we have the two monthly treasurers reports. The monthly treasurers report for May 2024 and for June of 2024. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Hearing none. Alignment of assets between the Village of Hanover Park and Hanover Square.
So if you go in your packet to page 211, this is the final step in the village closing out the LLC, the limited liability company for Hanover Square LLC. All of the assets have been moved over to the village. And so the board had taken action to close, to direct us to close out the LLC. And on page 215 is the assignment of assets that both Remy and I have signed off on. And this is on the agenda mostly to make sure that it's a public record of that closeout. Bernie, do you have anything to add?
Just that as part of it, of course, all the business of the LLC was winded down, and the LLC was terminated with the state of Illinois.
Thank you.
So, passed. It's done.
It's done.
Okay.
So then, those were the three items on the agenda, but the workshop discussion was continued to this part of the agenda under this meeting, and we're trying to, you have it here? Okay. The conversation is continued as to the section of the proposed purchasing manual as it refers to vetting of vendors. Based on that conversation, it is the desire to have different or more language in that's added to that section. Or the other option is to leave the language that way in the policy and add language that's more specific to what we're able to do now in the procedures, and to allow for then, as new technology, et cetera, tools become available, we can modify the procedures and update them as to the expectation. It was suggested that we look at LexisNexis, I believe. And so we will look into that. It's a software that has a price per user. So because the village does their, all the departments do their purchasing and it's not centralized here, I'm not sure how that would work and the cost. So we will look into that. But that would again be something that could be in the procedure section, that if we find that we are able to buy licenses and make that available, we could outline how that would be used and accessed in the procedures section.
And they're one of the more higher end of these programs, but I was reading the strategic plan that's current, and then one of them is to evaluate tech options to enhance efficiency. And I was listening to TJ talk about how sometimes the procurement process can take up to 20 hours. And quite frankly, as a trustee, I appreciate the due diligence, but I also see that that's taking up a lot of time. And so that's one issue. And the second issue is that Google is great. It's made our life wonderful, but we know that it can be manipulated. I can go in there and change a lot of things quite easily. And so if we can find something that will answer to the efficiency issue, but also do this work for us in a stronger manner, because some of these do look into government entities to see if there are any pending litigations, et cetera, that would be good. And maybe that has to be part of our strategic plan in the future, because I know it's costly. I know it is.
And the more detail, and I go back to my comments during the workshop of that balancing of the more detail you're able to delve into, whether it's through LexisNexis or some other program, you will have to make that judgment, a call of if it was something 10 years ago, or if it was something that had a division in the company, we're only able to go so far and to make a judgment call as to whether it'll affect the contract and the purchase that we're doing. Some of these organizations, as we talked earlier, are very large and they're nationwide, and you're going to find something in all of those companies that maybe we wish was not there. So
I agree with Juliana on that. LexisNexis is used by the bank because we do.
Is your thing on?
I can't hear you. Can't hear.
Can't hear?
Are you on?
It is on.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No?
Now I can, softly.
Yeah. So I agree with Juliana on that. With LexisNexis, there will be a lot more information be available for you. The banks have used that. When I used to work for a bank, is just getting more nitty-gritties and past as to what the business have done, where have been. It's a lot more decision-making when you do pull that. I don't know if we ask to use the LexisNexis, then we have to give instructions. What are we looking for on that? How far are we going? You know, what are going to be the pointers that is concerned to the village? That's going to be defined as well. So there's like a whole arena that we're going into. Then going right now with the searches on Google and business good standing, at least that's, you know, at least we have basics. That's what I'm happy about right now, and that is probably where we need to. And as Trustee Gutierrez said, maybe that is what we would add in strategic planning, and that's where we get to with budgeting and everything else for LexisNexis in the future. So that would be my thing. So let's continue with what we have right now.
Comments on, we were looking at the vetting component, right? Okay.
On page 5.
Yeah, so previously, I believe what Juliana was maybe trying to get clarity on is what specifics in order to maybe remove some of the ambiguity that's currently there with these 3 statements that are listed under vendor background and good standing checks. So a couple of months ago, as I mentioned before during the workshop, on April 18th, I passed along information to the board in regards to vendor vetting for board review. And just for clarity, just because I know everyone doesn't have this in front of them, I'm just going to read some of the language that I had previously proposed. And so the information that's here, the first section is an overview of vendor vetting and its importance, and then the next section includes actual vetting actions. So just to provide that background. Vendor vetting is an important process that helps municipalities make informed decisions when selecting vendors, procuring services, implementing business contracts, and overseeing competitive bidding. The standardized evaluation process allows municipalities to select potential vendors and review their abilities to meet the needs of the project at hand. This process also ensures that risk thresholds are evaluated and quality standards are at the forefront. All end vendors who work with our village will be subject to this process. It is the responsibility of the department overseeing said project to ensure that vetting has been executed and completed. Once vetting has been completed, final determination can be made on selecting the preferred vendor. And so the next part kind of goes into some of the specifics that we may want to consider as a board that might assist us when we think about the criteria that would then guide the vendor vetting. So I'll just read it verbatim. So one thing that we could do is review the industry experience by assessing the age of the business, qualification, certification, and validity of licenses. I understand that that's currently happening, but not too long ago, we had something come before us where the business that submitted a bid submitted all expired business licenses and things that were out of date and things of that nature. So I do think it's important to review the validity of the licenses. Moving to the next one, review vendor, company / culture and values, including any press associated with said vendor. That one's maybe a little bit more subjective, but I think that I think it's sometimes it's sometimes important to assess the leadership of the company that we are maybe working with. If their leadership is in the public making statements that we as a village do not agree with, I think that may be taken into consideration, but again, that could be subjective. Moving to the next one, evaluate the vendor's financial history and stability. That's something that could, if we move forward with LexisNexis, could be looked into. Evaluate the vendor's technological capabilities by assessing software systems and infrastructure and security standards. Again, that was proposed because there was a point in time where another bid came before the board. We were asked to provide a company, allow a company to do work for the village totaling $1 million, and you look up this company and you can't even find a website for them. And so it's a bit strange to award a company a $1 million contract when you can't even find them online. So again, reviewing their technological capabilities to ensure that the need is met. The conducting legal assessment, that's, the background checked, and just making sure they're checking just the history of the legal issues or any litigation that they may have been a part of, and conducting a compliance assessment, which includes compliance with regulatory standards, legal and ethical practices. Now, keeping in mind that we're trying to find a happy medium between the language that's presented before us and what has just been read, I'd like us as a board maybe to consider what we believe is critical, but also what we believe will reduce the instances of bids coming before the board where the company or owner of the company is involved in practices that do not align with our village, that are questionable, that don't allow us to trust that the job at hand will get done. And so it's a lot of language. I believe Juliana said that we would need to have this verified by tonight. Is that correct?
No, what I said was, we would like to get the purchasing manual approved, and our hope had been to bring it to the next board meeting. And did you feel that there was more discussion to be had that required another workshop to be had, to have this, to figure out how you might want this section to change? So
What-
this was, so the thought was, if we could come to agreement this evening under this section, then we can bring it back to the next board meeting.
I'm sorry, I have a question. I don't mean to be rude. So you mentioned 6 important points, and I know that when we go with consortiums and joint purchasing, a lot of these are done at that level, right? They're looking, I hope they're, the age of the business, their culture, evaluating the financial history, their tech, et cetera, right? A lot of what you read, I wonder if that is already happening here when we're looking at businesses. Are we doing this already?
To some extent. I think the question, and we've had some kind of one-on-one discussions with some of you as to how far do you take it? I mean, when we're talking about regulatory standards and legal and ethical practices, if you see an article in the paper that maybe outlines some questions or concerns, we can look into that and find out if it's, what its basis is. But to say that we're gonna take a group like a large company and like Apple or even, what are some of the big ones that you use, Jed? I think that yours are Dell, Tyler Technology, Dell. I mean, to talk about, to try to even begin to figure out even if it's out there and accessible would be very difficult to do. So that's where if, I think we went with the fair and reasonable background check so that on the larger companies, we could try to look to some extent to see where they were at. On the smaller companies, it might be a little easier to see what we could find on the website, on their website, or through their through a Google search or through the associations. Have they worked with them before? But I think on each one, it's going to be a little case by case, and have we worked with the company? If we've done a search and we've worked with them for 20 years, maybe that's a long time. TJ's going to be like, let's, you know, if they're the lowest quote and they're in that section, he may check real quick, but he's going to recommend using them and not delve into it probably as deeply as a new company that we haven't used ever and had success with. I guess we just don't, I mean, I don't want to spend, we can't spend hours trying to vet a vendor when we're trying to get the work of the village done and provide the services that need to be, we can't.
But I think it's already being done.
To some extent,
So let's
yes.
just say that TJ has been working with this company for 20 years, then he knows the age of the business, he knows their values and their cultures by then. I hope so. I don't know how long you've been working for the village, but it's a long time, man.
9 years.
You know their financial history, you know, you're keeping an eye on these things. You better know that they're good with their tech, right? Because we need that, right, to make the project possible. And maybe it's just doing a final legal search, see if there's anything out there that maybe we missed, or if there's any compliance issues as of recently, because in the last 20 years, they've been great. So it might be that we don't have to do all of these for all those, because we already have a proven track record, right? So I don't think there's any harm in adding some of this verbiage to that, to those steps that were outlined in the purchasing policy.
So where we say a fair and reasonable background search to verify the vendor's reliability and integrity, can we put in parentheses such as, and put some of these in there so that depending on the vendor and the size and the relationship, that, I mean, I just don't want someone to get caught where somebody questions it and then we're trying to detail everything out and how far do we go and all of that.
Could we, I'm following what we're suggesting and what Trustee Mancoli is suggesting. Can we take a fair and reasonable background search? Can we add this as an example? You know, leave the fair and reasonable background check, but put up parentheses or something as an example, the following.
All of this?
Well, just try to make it just an example what fair and reasonable can be. But it doesn't mean you have to use it as a checklist for everything, but it would be what we mean by fair and reasonable. So, do you know what I'm saying?
But
It's
if
an
it's,
example of, you know, an attachment that says the definition of fair and reasonable would encompass some of these or all of these, or,
Yeah, I like that.
you know, I'm just trying to think.
I would even add to this, you know, taking into consideration the relationship with the village, you know, their history with the village, their proven track record. I mean, that always speaks a lot, because you chose them for the first time because they were probably ethical, because they had a good financial standing, because they had the tech, you know, and they were the best bid. So I would even add that, but I don't have a problem with us summarizing these and adding them there. It's
Yeah, I agree.
pretty good, and hopefully in the future we have a system that'll do this for us.
Yeah. I think maybe aspects of LexisNexis could do this for us in kind of one thing, but until then, I agree with that. It's a good suggestion. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
I'm
trying to get it, you know, fair and reasonable. People want to do their job, but you want to have a sense of what do they mean by it.
But I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that if we include it in a policy, it becomes hard for staff not to think that it is a checklist. So we have to word it that,
Well,
I mean,
why don't
because
we
if we
word
go through this and try to do a checklist, it's going to be hours of work for each vendor to try, and how far do we go?
Well,
on
that's
that?
not what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, that's not.
So how would you like it worded in
I
the
mean,
policy?
you just gave us an example, or maybe it was TJ, about how a business might have worked for us for 20 years, and that business might not be assessed in the way a new business would, so it's a bit subjective. And so I believe what the mayor was saying is that you would add this verbiage in, or summarize it in a way that you believe captures the essence of what's written, and it provides maybe what's the word I'm looking for?
I really don't have the attachment answer for this, but I think I would.
A framework of sorts. I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, go
I just
ahead.
wanted
No,
to get it
that's
out.
okay.
A framework of sorts that would then guide the process. So there is no confusion as to what we should be checking for, or you know, we're not interpreting fair and reasonable background search one way versus another way. It clearly states the criteria that would then fulfill the fair and reasonable background search assessment. I think it's a good idea, and I think Trustee Gutierrez is statement was good as well, the relationship with the village. You know, have we had a long-standing relationship with them? Should that be taken into consideration when we are looking at current or future bid proposals?
So how we attach it, I think, let's give ourselves a little time to work that. I think we got the essence of what we want out there, so we can work on that. Julianne, I can work with you also on that. Because I have a sense of it not being a burden, but being a you know, like an attachment that says, what do we mean by fair and reasonable? And these may be some thoughts to consider.
I would suggest if we're going to take that approach and we're going to list what's in here, that it be in the procedures section, which is an attachment as to the policy, so that.
I don't agree with that.
You what?
I believe it should be in the policy. I believe it should be as the mayor suggested. But that's just my vote. We all vote here.
I want to understand what Julianne
So the
said.
policy says we're gonna do this, you know, and then the procedures is how do we accomplish this? So if it's, we're gonna have a fair and reasonable background search is the policy, then how are we going to accomplish it? We're gonna accomplish it by looking at all of these different things. And so that would be in the procedures section of the, which is an attachment of this document.
So here's my concern, and I apologize that I missed the workshop. But I'm concerned about when does this policy and this procedure kick in, at what dollar point? Because if this, if this is going to apply to everything that we do, then I can see a tremendous logjam of getting contracts approved. If it's going to be for anything that comes through the purchasing department. I would be more comfortable with setting dollar limits where this more complicated and more involved and extravagant process would actually kick in. But for a $1,000 project or a $10,000 project to go through this type of examination and this type of analysis, as a person that's worked in operations before, I can just see everything grinding to a halt, because you're going to have managers and people working in departments that are reluctant to move ahead if they haven't checked off all of these boxes on some very small, you know, purchase orders and things that are coming through the department. So if this is what we want to do, then my recommendation would be, let's set some parameters in terms of when this kicks in. And certainly my recommendation would be anything under $50,000, you know, we should continue with, I'm okay with fair and reasonable. If it's above that $50,000 threshold, then I think that if we want to go into a more exhaustive search of background search and vetting of a vendor, then, you know, I could see where there may be a case for that, but not for everything that's going to come through. I'm all for, you know, being careful and being conscious of this, but I can just see where, you know, I would be remiss to say that I would want to work in a department where I had those type of constraints on approving some contracts. And I also am not in favor of excluding the joint purchasing when we're doing it with the collective. If we're involved in a collective in other communities and we're doing it because of the economies of scale and the purchasing power of joining with other communities to make purchases, then I would think that the collective vetting that's been done by all those other communities should serve us. And, you know, if you've got 4 or 5 other communities that have used a particular company for a service, and then we're going to object because we want to go through some extensive additional vetting of a company, then that voids the purchasing power and, like I said, the economies of scale with joining in with those other communities. So, you know, those are just my opinions. I think that, you know, we can have this vetting that we're looking at, and the items that have been listed in this information that's been shared by Trustee Bancole, but I'd like to see a threshold for when that would kick in, and I'd also would like to not exclude the joint purchasing agreements that we have with other communities.
So we were discussing that as well. I had brought that up because I think it was,
Muscat.
were they joint?
Yeah.
And we were about to,
But how many of those have we, that's one example, but how many purchases have we made using that process where we've had, that as an outlier?
right,
So
we
I
haven't.
don't want to base a policy
Right,
based
but
on
we
an
also
outlier.
haven't had a board that's been looking at those as closely and doing these checks. So I think that even at the joint level, you could. However, I do agree that, like, for a small purchase, this is going to, we're redoing this to avoid the gridlock, right? And the bottleneck. And so if this can somehow, like you said, be limited to a certain dollar amount or be suggestive, as the mayor had said, it would be good. Because I do agree, it's gonna slow things down, and we're trying to speed things up with this, if I'm not mistaken.
Hopefully.
So just to clarify,
And I don't think that other boards have not been interested in making sure that the companies that we do business with have been properly vetted, so.
No, and that's not what I'm saying, but.
I've served on some of those past boards.
Right,
And I
it's
know
just this.
that's always been, a
Right.
concern, yeah.
Right, but I think that this board has had access to other systems that they can use to
Okay.
find, and so
Yeah.
they've been able to use those now.
And so you want to say-
Does everybody think that we should use maybe a 25,000 threshold, keep it consistent through the policy manual?
I like that
Sorry, say
idea
that
too. I
again.
was thinking 25.
sorry, say it one more time.
Keep the limit where it starts at 25,000, since in the manual, everything above 25,000 has to go before the board. So that's when we can start vetting, after the 25,000. We put 50, then we've got a mishmash of different numbers.
Okay.
Keep it at 25,000 and, and above, and, be vetted at that.
But I think right now we're vetting it, well, maybe I'm reading this incorrectly, but the proposed policy that came from staff would start it at 5,000 through 24,000, where it comes with 3 written quotes scanned. It says 3 written quotes scanned and attached to the purchase order. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is currently what is being proposed. That's what you want to be proposed.
I thought 25,000 was the last one.
Yeah, over
Not
25,000
24, not-
is the last.
24,999 and
Okay,
to
but aren't the-
5,000.
Okay, but the quotes aren't being reviewed, right? It says 3 quotes when possible, so it starts at 1,000. So that's what.
Well,
so review
quotes
is
are,
taking-
quotes are different than vetting. So we're going to get quotes from multiple companies. We're going to look at what they're offering, how much the cost is. In those cases currently, we're doing, the reference checks and all of that at those levels. To go to, what I'm hearing Trustee Porter suggest is when we start saying that we want to review their age and business and financial history and assessing their software systems and doing background, not necessarily the background checks, but legal and ethical practices. If we're going to delve into this vetting process further, the suggestion was at 50,000. Trustee Kunkel saying anytime it's above the village manager's authority of 25,000, and it's going to come to you for approval, that we have some enhanced level of vetting for those vendors. That's what I'm hearing. That was a summary.
I agree
Where
with
you want to
that.
be.
I agree with that.
Agree.
I'll agree.
So I will modify this section where it says fair and reasonable background and say, and put some summary language in there to say over 25,000, we will do this. But again, I need to find a way to word it that it's not a specific checklist that we're going way down into this company and, because we're gonna find something in every
Well,
company.
that's our challenge. I don't necessarily think we need to solve that tonight. Give you time to dive into that and let us incrementally update us on some of the opportunities that we
Well,
have.
I'll make this change and bring it back to the next board meeting.
Yes.
And then at the board meeting, if you want to modify the language, then you can make the motion at that point to do that.
That's fine. You might want to bring back
But just
choices.
to clarify, anything under 25,000 will be reviewed with the 3 statements that you had outlined. I don't have it in front of me.
The business good standing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that is the criteria for 25,000 and under.
We will be doing that for all.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
this I see as a work in progress, so the faster we go, the further behind we get. So let's make it so it makes sense to all of us. Thank you, Juliana, for permitting us to add that to your agenda. Village Clerk's report?
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Corporation Council report?
No report, thank you.
Trustee report, Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes, I just have some questions. How often is our business directory updated? The online one?
Every couple of months, maybe even once a month sometimes, especially when we have.
Could you use the mic?
We try to update it every month,
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the month
Okay.
or so. But sometimes if we know of a handful of new businesses that have opened up, we'll do it ad hoc as well.
Okay, all right,
But it's time to be updating it.
okay. And then I know that trustee Bankley had been communicating with our village manager about our water assistance program. I just have 2 questions. The one question is, what is it that triggers the counter at Village Hall to offer that water assistance program?
So we have a policy that I believe was shared with the board again recently that outlines when that comes into play. So they have to have gone through the township, I have it somewhere here, the township's program. Here it is. So to be eligible for the Water Assistance Fund, residents must meet the following criteria: must reside within the village and be specifically listed on the water utility bill, must meet LIHEAP or other similarly approved program guidelines as low-income household, must have exhausted all assistance options available through the township,
So they must meet LIHEAP requirements?
or other similarly approved program guideline as low-income household.
And our townships know about this?
Yes.
I had a case that I got from the township that they didn't know about this, so I wonder if it's to change in staff or something, but. Okay.
We met with all of the townships together
Okay.
when we were putting the program together.
All right, and then I know that it's online. Did we ever put it on the highlighter like we discussed?
This is not online. This assistance is not online. There's a statement that says,
So how do residents know that?
through staff. So if somebody comes to us, we know in our system whether they've gone through the township's program and received assistance through that. And then the townships as well as our staff know that this is available and they've already exhausted the township's assistance, and we have a source of funding that is available to them as well.
Okay. And then just finally, thank you for the speedy cleanup on Northway. That was very scary to wake up to that. There's still some branches out there, but thank you so much. I saw everybody working, all day, so we really appreciate the work of the Public Works Department. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee Porter?
Yeah, following up on that last comment, is there any way in the newsletter that's gonna go out tomorrow that we can mention to our residents that there will be pickup of storm materials on Monday? Because a lot of our residents may or may not be aware of that, but if we can include that in the newsletter, the online, the hype that goes out tomorrow, for those that follow it, if we can just let them know that we will be doing our brush pickup on Monday.
Is that the day we're picking it up?
We're actually picking up every day, but
Right,
officially
yeah.
it starts on
It
Monday.
starts on Monday, yeah, it starts on Monday, yeah.
And we've been
I
communicating
think
with
we've
every
already
resident
put it
that we
out,
see.
but we can do it again.
Yeah, so,
It's already out, and it'll be in the newsletter.
okay, great, thank you. Because that's very helpful. I had some major branches down, and they came and got mine today. I think they were out, I saw them, and they actually got some of that up. So they're actually out doing that now, you know, going through the neighborhoods, and
Yeah, mine disappeared too.
yeah, so that was very, very appreciated. And then finally, I don't have much this time. I just want to make an announcement that I serve on the Housing Authority of Cook County. And we are announcing the opening of the Otto Veterans Housing Center in Chicago Heights, the grand opening on 1440 Otto Boulevard. This is a 6-story multi-unit housing apartment complex that is dedicated primarily for veterans. And veterans are free to apply for housing. They will receive all of the assistance that's available, housing vouchers and so forth. It's a beautiful facility. That grand opening is going to be on September 13th. Cook County President Tony Preckwinkle will be there to officially open the center. And so if anyone knows of any veterans that are struggling with housing, we certainly want to make them aware that there are efforts made, because we firmly believe that, you know, no veteran should be homeless after serving our community. There should not be any veterans that are struggling to find housing. We should not have homeless veterans. That's from 8:30 to 12:30 in the morning, so it's early. And again, that address is 1440 Otto Boulevard in Chicago Heights, 60411.
I put that in my calendar, but I didn't, what was the date you said? It didn't collaborate with mine.
September 13th.
September 13th. I don't know what I put in, because I have it, I know I put it in there. Because you and I are planning on going together, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, okay. But I don't know what date I put. I must put it in the wrong place. One of these days I'll figure out how to search my calendar.
And that's all.
Thank you. Nice initiative. Very good. Trustee Kunkel.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Cops Day is tomorrow. For everybody that didn't know that, but it's tomorrow. At the Park District, 1919 Walnut. And the railroad crossing on County Farm. It's great, it's finished, it looks great, it's smooth. Not as smooth as a baby's butt, but it's smooth. That's all I have.
What's smooth?
The railroad crossing on County Farm.
You're welcome.
Looks good.
We worked that initiative with Canadian National, and it came to fruition. I was really pleased. They did a nice job. They did it right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Ben-Coley?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to provide my sincere thanks and gratitude to our incredible Public Works Department led by TJ and John. I think that there were almost 20 official tornadoes that officially hit the ground in the state of Illinois. It might be more, that figure might not be correct, but I know a lot of damage was done all throughout the state, and the continual updates that we were getting from TJ, all the hours that Public Works put in to clear the streets and cut branches and provide residents with helpful information and even schedule this, special pickup. I'm very thankful for all your efforts on this emergency situation, but for your leadership as well. So thank you. And again, wanted to thank Dave Webb for his many years of service to the Village of Hanover Park. You will be missed, and I wish you the best in this new chapter of your life.
Thank you.
Just wanted to mention, it's been a while since we met, but just wanted to mention that the Environmental Committee did have its apiary open house at the end of June. It was a roaring success, and it was really a success because of our clerk, Christy Merrill, who disseminated this information to many schools and Girl Scout troops, and we had, I think, more people than we thought, which was great. It's a good problem to have. And so we really enjoyed that success, and looking forward to having a successful event again next year. One more thing I forgot to mention in regards to the tornado cleanup / assistance. So I did want to flag, and I don't mean to steal your thunder because I know that you serve with CEDA. But CEDA has set up an emergency response program to assist Cook County families that may have been severely impacted by the storms and tornadoes. So they can provide you with flood cleanup, temporary housing if you can't live in your house, food, furniture, appliances. So I did just want to flag that this is something that CEDA is doing to assist those in Cook County, I should clarify, those in Cook County that have been that were impacted by the storms. So I just want to make sure that our residents were aware of that resource. And the last thing I'd want to just touch on is, again, our policy as it relates to addressing our residents when they come and approach the board. So I believe a couple of meetings ago, we had Attorney Paul and Trustee Gutierrez kind of walk us through the guidelines of when we could address our residents, when we couldn't, and things of that nature. And I don't believe that asking our residents for clarification or additional information is a debate. I believe that it's trying to address their concerns and trying to be mindful of the fact that they've taken the time out of their day to leave their home, get in their car, come publicly address an issue that's impacting their lives. And I think it's incumbent on us to provide them with some sort of response. Mayor, I understand that, many times over, you will typically provide that response, but I think when your fellow board members are not able to also address our residents, right, because there are residents too, it's maybe a disservice to the board. And so I would just ask that we maybe consider that the next time someone approaches the board, because I think I see the benefit in asking for clarification and more information when our residents come to us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand. And, we have a policy that doesn't include that, but as an extension for understanding, I'm sensitive to that. It's not a time to get into a debate or an argument. I think we hear what they have to say, and that's really important. We have their name and address. I don't want to bog us down, but if you're looking for clarity on their comment, for me, that's okay. That's all. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to be mean-spirited about shutting you down. If I came across that way, I apologize. Okay, thank you. Trustee Brady is not with us. Trustee Husseini?
Thank you, Mayor. I would start with thanking the public work as well, but my concerns are different. My God, we don't have a basement at our home, so everybody said tornado insurance, you go to the basement, we don't have a basement. And Hannibal Park, I'm trying to look for a home, so I'm just announcing it right now. There's a basement and 4 bedrooms, please. Just putting it out there, I'm looking. Development Commission has been busy. June 27th was a public hearing for a small variance for a residence request. And July 11th, I was able to make it to the Development Commission meeting. But thank you, Shibra, for giving the update. There was a preliminary plat for the 80 units townhome on Lakewood Church has been approved, which was submitted to the board today. The preliminary plat for the small 2 lots of the subdivision church, center and Cherry. And also discussion draft tax amending for temporary use of tax. One more thing, okay, before I finish my report, Dave, I'm jealous. You're going to Florida. That's my favorite place to be when I retire. And I just met your wife today, and you both are healthy and young to go and enjoy, and this is where the fun begins. So glad you're going to Florida, and I'm not going to wait until my retirement. I think I'm going to open a company there and just be there part-time in Florida. So good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And of course, I forgot to mention earlier, Marianne Greigel, who was very instrumental in the flag ceremony, involved with Boy Scouts, involved with cancer and all those things, passed last week. And I did go to her wake. She was a friend of Hanover Park. She is the one that was supporting all the flags in Roselle. Every home could have a flag, you know, and post them on the stakes. So yeah, that's a big loss to the area. She lived in Medina, was very involved in Roselle, and coordinated that selection of the individual to be the Roselle High School senior to lead their parades or whatever they, you know, I forget what the name of the rose thing is, but I just wanted to share that. She was a kindred spirit, and if we can have just a moment of silence before we adjourn to executive session. Well, let's pass executive session, have a moment of silence, and then adjourn. A motion to go to executive session, or at section 2C2 and section 2C6. We have a motion?
I motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do I need a roll call? This
Yes.
is not money.
Yes, you
Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, do I ask for a moment of silence prior to the adjournment? Thank you. Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are not reading, yes. Uh-oh,
The time is 8:57.
gotta find a pen.
So are we doing, so
What'd I do?
Adela was
I don't know.
coming
Got the Rodney
You
pen.
can keep it, it's,
she can't be there for,
quite a bit of money.
I'll bet you did.
But you
so which one are we
Uh,
doing?